Hi.
Hi, I'm Corey, truly of a Bob, and I'm with Howard live and in person, even though he lives in another city than me. I've made the trek to Austin to talk with Howard because he's my best friend, man.
And today we're going to talk about some gamer junk, like the really, really nerdy grittiness of gaming as to what is annoying and what works.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do, yes. Because we've had a lot of experience with a lot of tough gamers. I don't know, like sometimes you're in a game with people you don't get along with, and sometimes some people have different ways of gaming than other people, and we've fallen into some bad habits.
That's true. It's very true.
Definitely something that has happened to us.
See this thing he keeps picking up?
Yes.
That's a bad habit during a game.
The phone at the table.
Down.
The phone at the table is a terrible thing, and I always want to grab my phone. I love my phone. I always want to grab it. And one thing I tend to do is if I'm not in the game at the time, what you would call like a scene. We call it scene since Vampire. We used to do Vampire LARP a lot, and in Vampire, a specific setting or where your character is at that time is called a scene, and we've just gotten used to calling different aspects of the game scenes. So when I'm not in a scene, I go off and do something else. I'll talk on the phone. I'll Facebook or YouTube, or I'll go read a comic book somewhere. I'll do something else. And then when the game comes back around, they're like, "Hey, you know that thing I did? I tell you about it." And I'm like, "You're gonna have to role play that out for me because I have no idea what just happened."
It's also an equal problem for the game master who describes in detail this huge scene or a bunch of NPCs, and he's not paying attention because he's not in the scene. Then he enters the scene at a later point, and the game master says, "All right, now you walk in. What do you do?" And he's like, "I don't know. What do I see?"
And you have to say the entire thing.
Everything I just said. You see that? Yeah. Can you say all of it again? I hate you so much. Which he did that to me recently.
Oh yeah, I'm notorious. I'm terrible at it.
He wasn't the only person at my game table that was doing it. He was just the one in arm's reach. Just put it down.
But then there's other habits that we had that we picked up from the cam. Basically, when something else is happening to another player, we would go. I'd grab another player and say, "Hey, I want to talk to you about something specifically about the game. Can I have a chat with you in character?" And we'd go off, and because we didn't want to interrupt what the game master was doing, and we'd plot and scheme behind people's backs and that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I kind of like that because it's fun and it kind of adds to the game. But yeah, you get that point where the game master has to re-describe things, or the player has to re-describe things to people. But
and also, there's the other bonus to it is that there's no break in the flow of the game for you. You're in character, you're playing your character. The game master cuts to a different scene with different characters. You and Joe step away and you keep playing your characters. It feels good. I totally get that.
Yeah.
At the same time, people that have only ever played tabletop games, which I played LARP for a while, went back to tabletop, and one of my new friends who was a tabletop player looked at me and went, "Why is everyone leaving the table? Do they not like your game?" I'm like, "No, they're role playing over there." "Well, how do you know what they're doing?" I have no idea what they're doing.
Well, we're not rolling dice. We're just talking. I mean, if a dice roll comes up, we'll come back to the table and say, we screwed up. And now we need adjudication from the game master.
What were you doing? We were robbing a bank. What?
No. We were just talking, and I said something wrong, and now he wants to pick my mind clean of all information because he thinks I'm lying or something.
Or just a straight up fight broke out.
Oh yeah, something like that happens. All sorts of stuff. But that said, I really like that kind of thing because you keep in character. And the thing is when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, though, that game is way too based on having a balanced party and everybody working together that if you start doing that in Dungeons and Dragons, the game breaks down.
Oh yeah, D&D is not designed for the party to break into groups, because as soon as that happens, well, whichever way the healer went, I'm going with that guy.
Yeah,
You know?
but if you're playing a game like Vampire the Masquerade or 7th or those games where, especially games where you don't need a diverse party, like you can play the game as one character and potentially do everything you need to do.
I see that. I think that if you're going to run a tabletop game and you have a bunch of LARPers who want to play a little bit of LARP style and bring some of that in, if you work that out ahead of time, I think it could be done. Something you do in a LARP, or at least we always suggested doing and occasionally remembered to do, was to write down on a page what the area looked like and write down descriptions of NPCs on cards. So if you're in this area, you have this page, and when you get to that area, you read the page, and then you can tell the game master, all right, so I've entered this area, and I see this, and this is what I want to do. And it doesn't break the game for other people already in the scene, because you don't have to, nobody has to stop and explain everything.
You can just pick up the card and read it.
Yeah,
now
you just read the card,
yeah,
you read and you could just as easily do that in a tabletop game if you have two players step away to role play something and come back, is you just pass the description of the scene that you just read to the rest of the group over to them quietly, and then they can read it and then join when they're ready.
That sounds like a great idea if there's not a lot of different locations in your game, but a game like Dungeons & Dragons where every room is
oh yeah, that would get super
page.
complex.
Like, what card are we on now?
If you're dungeoning, if you're literally going through a dungeon from weird room to weird room, this was the one with the orcs in it, or the trolls, this was the one with the 4 pools, and each one was a different potion chemical that will either destroy you or heal you, except the last one, which was a water elemental, and it would just try to choke you out. But all of those are from a dungeon that I've run, and I didn't write it. TSR did.
What adventure was that?
I don't remember, but man, I'll find it for you. It was good.
Okay.
It was good in its badness.
A lot of old D&D adventures are like that. They're just super terrible, but for some reason they're fun, even though they're not balanced at all, and just terrible things can happen to you, and nonsensical things in these dungeons can happen. But they're super fun, which is different from the games, the adventures nowadays, is they're super uniform and totally balanced and very.
Oh yeah, the new ones are better balanced. However, we did run
Rise of Tiamat.
Yeah, it was Rise of Tiamat. It was part of the Horde of the Dragon Queen.
Yeah.
Let's see which one it was. It's Horde of the Dragon Queen is the first book.
Yes. Okay.
And we were running that, and if you run it the way it is written, there is a strong chance that nobody will survive chapter 1. Because the way it is written, you come into town. The town is besieged by kobolds and cultists of the dragon cult. And there's also a dragon flying around the town, lighting buildings on fire. Now, you don't immediately fight the dragon, because that would be amusing. A bunch of level 1 guys going, hey, is that a... We're all dead. But the problem with it was that you don't get a chance to rest. So you have multiple encounters before you get to the keep in this town. The town's name was Greenest. And by the time you get to the keep, you're pretty beat up. And as soon as you get there, there's a captain who's giving orders and trying to pull the town's guards together and everything to defend what's left of this town. And he sees you, and he immediately is like, you can help? Great. So glad you're here. We need people to go this way and people to go that way. And he gives you a mission, and then you go right back out on your new mission, and you get through more encounters. And the problem is you're level 1, which means you take 2 hits. You're probably dead. And if you're a mage,
through like 3 encounters,
you get already. 1 hit. Yeah, I mean, literally, you start with like 6 hit points if you're a mage with a low constitution. Or if you're a fighter with a high constitution, you might at best start with, let's say barbarian. That's 12 plus 5, so 17, which means 4 or 5 hits, you're still dead. Or 2 good hits, or, it's an impossible game. I didn't realize that the guy who initially ran it for us had significantly altered things. And he allowed us to do things like straight up sneak through the town. which I then later ran the game myself. And as I'm reading through it, I'm like, oh, that's not going to work. Yeah, you can sneak. And the party had the idea of putting on the cult
Uniforms?
robes. Yeah. So I was like, yes, that absolutely works. You can put that on.
costume.
You walk right through the town.
It's not a costume. It's a uniform.
It is a uniform, but it has a mask.
Yes.
So truly, if you're wearing it, I have no reason why in the middle of combat, other cultists wouldn't look at you and say, oh, well, that's one of mine.
Well, here's the thing.
Then the guards could have attacked him.
That's true. But this is where things can get a little sketchy. Like, you say that you altered it so they didn't have to do that encounter. If you can also look at it like the players were smart. And
oh no, I also significantly dropped the chances of encounters. I didn't make them roll for disguise. I just let it happen because if they'd failed those rolls, they still would have all died. It was way too hard. And so we thought the game was pretty well balanced. And the reason we thought that is before we played that game, we played through the starter kit module, The Lost Mines of Phandelver. And that game is well written and well balanced. And it looks like a lot of thought went into it. And from what I was told, that was actually the playtest game that they'd sent out and took back and sent out and took back until they got it right.
Wow. They should just do their homework.
Yeah, that appeared to be the difference.
Really what they should do.
But read any of the old modules, and none of them are balanced.
No, of course
some
not.
of them are insane.
Yeah. But hey, writer of Horde of the Dragon Queen, we're calling you out.
Yes.
Right here. Your adventure is bunk.
Chapter 1's death. Nothing but death.
Rat of that shit.
But we're way off topic now. We were talking about things that annoy us in games as far as gamer quirks.
Oh, were we? I don't care. I'm having fun talking about gaming. I figure, like, what are we going to even call this show? You enjoy this? Give it a like so I know you enjoy it, and we'll do it again next week.
Works for me.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Do we have a tag?
Peace.
Do we have an end tag? Do we have an end tag for this?
In a world. Good?
Sure.
All right.